This is the DIMO AutoPi, and I took the inner workings of this unit and converted it over to a retro Game Boy styled handheld gaming unit. And today we're going to talk about that. If you're in the crypto DePIN scene, you know that DIMO has switched to or in the process of switching to a subscription model, and the rewards aren't the greatest anymore with DIMO. And I've had this AutoPi for a couple years now. And recently I took this apart, took a look at the inner workings, and realized that it actually runs a Raspberry Pi Compute Module 4. So that is essentially a programmable board that is what Raspberry Pi calls a compute module, but it's essentially a Raspberry Pi 4. So it's got the full quad core on it, but it's a snap-in module that you can plug into like a daughter board or a main carrier board and leverage that functionality. And what I have over here is the Retro Flag GPi Case 2. And something that's unique about this is it accepts a CM4. So it actually accepts the compute module that's in this and basically takes that module. You load a retro gaming operating system on it, and it turns it into kind of your own handheld Game Boy system. And this has a deluxe version as well. Comes with a dock. You can actually hook this up to the TV, use a Bluetooth controller, and you get HDMI output through that dock, and use it on the computer. I'm personally using this as a handheld, so I do have a Polymega game system. I have the full Polymega set, and so I use that on the TV for my retro games. But I decided that instead of continuing to operate on the DIMO network and paying the subscription fee, I would take this, transpose it into this. You can see we actually have Pokemon Yellow booted up right now, and we'll go ahead and jump back into the dashboard here. And you can see if I go back, I've got Game Boy games, I've got Game Boy Color, I've got, let me scroll down a little bit, I've got Sega Game Gear. Those are kind of my three main systems, and that is mainly because of this controller scheme. So we have a D-pad, we've got our 4 buttons, so we've got A, B, X, Y, we've got start and select, and then we kind of have 2 mode buttons here. On the back, we have 2 shoulder buttons as well. And then on the side, we have a volume slider, so it goes up and down. And then we also have a brightness slider. So you can see I can turn that brightness up, can dim that screen down using that slider on the side there. And then on the bottom, we got a headphone jack. We also have this USB-C. Now, what's cool about this is kind of a 2-way USB-C. This is used for recharging the battery, so this does have a rechargeable battery in it. You don't have to use AA's, AAA's, or anything like that. And it's also a data port for the dock, but we can actually leverage that data port for a USB drive as well, which is what I have done here. So before we talk about the USB drive, I'm going to go ahead and power this off, and it has a safe shutdown. This is all built into the operating system. We're going to turn this over, and I'm just going to slide the cartridge slot up. This is actually a fake cartridge slot. And you can see, if we look down in here, I've got a slim, like a low profile heatsink on here, but this is actually a compute module. So this is the CM4 out of the DIMO. Now, basically you slide it in, you snap it in, and you're good to go. Now, if you notice, there's an SD card slot here. One of the drawbacks to the DIMO CM4 board is that it has an eMMC module on it. The way eMMC modules work on the compute boards is it consumes the SD card lanes. So that means if you put it into a carrier board that has an SD card slot, you cannot take advantage of the SD card slot. There's no way to switch between them. So unfortunately, the CM4 that's in the AutoPi, it is a quad core. It only has 1 GB of RAM, and it has an 8 GB eMMC. And this is going to hold our gaming operating system, but also any of the games that we want to run on it. So when we're in this handheld mode, we're kind of restricted to about 4 gigabytes of data, which may seem small, but a lot of these retro games are very small in size. That's still allowing us to put a couple thousand games just on the eMMC. And you also notice here, there's a micro USB port. So you plug this in, and this will connect up to the computer, and it'll actually allow you to mount the eMMC drive as an additional drive. You could just drag and drop your games, your ROM files right onto that, unplug the USB, power it off, power it back on. So let's go ahead and turn this back on. Again, there's a slider switch up here. There's also a screen, like a display on and off button here. It kind of puts into, it's really not a sleep mode, it's just really turning the display on and off. Now, the boot up will take a minute or so here. So this is a full operating system. This is running, I am running Recalbox on this. You can also run RetroPie. However, I like Recalbox in this specific configuration because I'm going to show you why here in a second, once it gets booted up. So it's booted up now, and this is a USB thumb drive, and this one's pretty unique in that if we slide it this way, we've got USB-A. Slide it this way, we've got USB-C. So SanDisk makes these duos. I really like these thumb drives. So this one, what we're going to be able to do, we can load this up with ROMs and using the same folder structure. And Recalbox is smart enough that when you plug this into the USB port down here, it can actually read the games off of this drive, but also at the same time read the games off of the eMMC. So what that means is we can run Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Gear on the unit, but then when we plug this in, so we'll go ahead and plug it in, you'll see we get a little pop-up come up here. And so that's going to say, if we kind of zoom in there, you can kind of see it's telling us that there's a drive attached containing ROMs, and the front end needs to restart to pull those games in. So I'm going to go ahead and hit A, and then that's going to basically reboot just the front end, not the entire operating system, but it's going to reboot the front end, and we're going to see more systems listed now because I have loaded this up with a couple PS1 games. I've loaded it up with an N64 game just for testing. And then I've also loaded this up with NES, Super Nintendo, and Game Boy Advance. So I've got the complete libraries. Oh, and we also have a Genesis game on here. So with this controller configuration, I like to be able to run Super Nintendo because that's kind of really what this controller scheme is. This is a SNES controller scheme that we've got on the unit. So NES will also work very well. We use our D-pad, our A and B. PlayStation will work with some of the more original games that didn't use the analog stick. They just use the directional D-pad and then your 4 buttons. So we do have some options there. But if we go into NES, you can see we now have this whole library of all these NES games that we can play. And then if I go back and I go to Super Nintendo, you kind of see the same thing. So we've got all kinds of Super Nintendo games here that we can play as well. And then you could also do N64. You know, there's tons of systems that are supported here. Now, if you get the deluxe edition, has a dock that gives you a couple more USB ports on it. And so that will actually allow you to hook up like a USB or a Bluetooth N64 controller and leverage those controls. The way I kind of have this set up, as I mentioned, I have a Poly Mega. So I actually have an N64 on the Poly Mega with the Hori style controllers. So for me, I'm mainly interested in all of the games that I can run on this that support this controller scheme. And that was kind of my goal when I set this up. So if we go into something like Game Boy Advance, and you can see there's tons of games. You can use the shoulder buttons to jump letter by letter. So if we jump on down to like some of the Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh games. I'll actually jump down to Yu-Gi-Oh. So here we can see we've got a bunch of Yu-Gi-Oh games on here that we can play. And then if we just jump into that, it's going to load up that ROM and we're going to be able to play it. And that ROM is running off of this USB drive. Keep in mind, when you're doing this, you have no way to charge the unit. So if your battery is draining, you are going to have to unplug, stop that gameplay, unplug the USB, and, go back to just the regular Game Boy, or wait until it's charged and then plug it back in. But we can go ahead and launch one of the games. There you can see, so we can go in, we can set up, our profile, all that, and start playing the game. I'm not going to play the game in this video, but then you can just press, there's a little flag here for retro flag. That and start will take you back to that front end. And then if we go back a screen, if I unplug this, I just unplugged it, you can see we get that same pop-up telling us that device containing the ROMs was unplugged and the front end needs to relaunch. So let's go ahead and hit our button to relaunch. And then what you'll see is that it will just have the games that are on the eMMC. We won't be able to launch NES, Super Nintendo, anything like that. But if we put this back in, prompts us, we go ahead and hit A again. And when we come back in, we're going to see that combination of all of our USB games and all of our eMMC games. So once that loads up, we can go, for example, we can go into Game Boy Color. We can see these are all the games that are on the eMMC. If you want to kind of see how that does it, you can go back to the main menu, hit Start, and then we can scroll down to, I believe it's System Settings. And right here, you can click on this and you can see we actually have 2 drives here. So we've got this internal share partition that we only have less than a gig free on. You can see it's a total of 3.27 gigs. That is the eMMC ROM store. And the second one is our USB drive. You can see we've got 216 gigs free. It is a 256 gig USB, so we've got 232 gigs available there. So that is how it's kind of reading both, both drives simultaneously. And then when you go to launch the ROM from the menu, it's smart enough to know what drive it's on, and it's launching it off of that drive. So that's kind of what's giving us this flexibility. We don't have to like copy games back and forth, anything like that. So if you're running it, if you're charging the unit, you can still play Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Gear, whatever you have stored on the eMMC. Now I have the full game libraries loaded on this. If you don't need to load full libraries, you could certainly probably run everything on the handheld without having to plug in a USB drive for supplemental storage. But for me, I like to have like some PS1 games and some other games. So for those reasons, I like that USB. It's really nice that this is 2-way and is just not charging. So love to see that. But that is just kind of the system at a whole. It's running Recalbox, so you get all the features of Recalbox, save states, screenshots, the scraping. You probably saw that there were already, like it had info about all the games. I had already pre-scraped everything. So whenever we go into, if I go into like Game Gear, and you see it's kind of got like a screenshot and it's got the game art. That is all from me scraping it and getting it to pull down all of that info. So that is basically what I've done. So I've taken this DIMO that I was earning maybe what, $3 a month maybe on it, $3 to $4, or sorry, $3 to $4. Yeah, probably about, I think about $1.50 to $2 a week. So what, like $6 to $8 a month is probably what I was earning with this. And I've turned it into a usable handheld game system that I can take with me on the go. The battery on this is actually really good. It will last several hours. And everything is working great. And even with the USB port plugged in, it's going to drain a little bit quicker. But I was seeing a couple hour runtime even with the USB port plugged in. So overall, super happy with this setup. It is set up from a technical standpoint. You just program it using Raspberry Pi Imager, just like you would program any Raspberry Pi with RetroPie. It's just the way I have this set up. When you go to program it with Raspberry Pi Imager, after you plug in that USB cable, all you have to do is just select Recalbox. It does everything for you. Recalbox already has all the configurations built in for this RetroFlag GPi Case 2. That includes support for the dock, so whenever you go to dock it, it will auto switch to the HDMI output versus the screen. It'll auto adapt the controller layout. And just real quick, I want to kind of show that to you. So if we go to, I believe it's controller. Oops, let me go back to the main menu. And if I go down to, I believe it's controller settings. And let me see. So you can see that it automatically detected the pad type as Super Nintendo. And if I go back another screen, I believe, to system settings, it's a system settings. No, it might be game settings. Here it is. So it's under advanced settings. So if I go down to advanced settings and I come down to case management, it knows that I am in a GPi Case 2. It automatically detected that. I did not need to select this at all. And so that is all built into the latest version of the Recall image. So outside of me just copying ROMs to the drive and doing the initial operating system programming through Raspberry Pi Flasher, I didn't have to do any configuration at all. Once it was on here, I did configure the Wi-Fi, which is super easy to do. You just go start, you go down to network settings, and then you can configure your Wi-Fi. So you can actually see I am connected to my Wi-Fi. It's got my IP address and everything there. That is used kind of for the scraping, pull down the images, the game box artwork, all of that. That's really the only reason that Wi-Fi is necessarily needed. You can also SSH into this unit. So if you want to SFTP your ROMs over without going through USB, that is an option as well. And that's it for this video. Just kind of want to show you guys what I ended up doing with my DIMO AutoPi. And we were able to basically take that module out, put it in here, get that operating system on, and get everything configured in a way that it is purely a handheld. I don't have to have it hooked up to the TV. I was able to expand the storage when I need to, basically on demand anytime I want, plug that in, play additional games above any limiting factors that we may have had with the, any limiting factors there that we may have had with the eMMC that is built into this unit.